Hey everybody, I'm Brad of Be the Italian. Today we're going to be looking at Critical, also known as Penguin Zero, video on when he got a Keanu Reeves cutout and how that affected his dogs, specifically their fear responses to the cardboard cutout. We're going to be looking at the body language, and later on, after the video, we're going to be going over training advice and ways that Critical could have eventually trained the behavior out of their dogs so that they weren't so afraid of the cardboard cutout. I'll say right now that in the video he gets very close to actually solving the problem or stumbling upon the proper solution. But let's go ahead and get into the video. So here at 50 seconds, we see that he is now showing the dogs the cardboard cutout. We can see that they are responding negatively to it. The I believe it's a boxer pit bull mix, the brownish color dog. Um, we can see that the eyes are big and alert. The ears are tucked back. The mouth is tight. These are all very clear indicators that they are stressed or that that dog is stressed and does not like what is happening. So already, not off to a great start. We can see with the clear husky that they are looking away from the cardboard cutout. Um, they are sitting, which is very positive. I mean, we're off to a good start with the husky at least. Um, Now, if we continue on with the video, we see they snap to alertness. So maybe at this point, Critical's moving the cardboard cutout. There's a couple jumps that they do, and then they start looking off into different directions. This tells me that something is happening with the cutout, as if like it's being moved or something's happening with it. But now we see at 1 minute and 15 seconds, the dogs have now moved. They had the husky had lowered the head and tucked the tail, and you can see that the hackles on the shoulders are starting to come up. So and the body is condensed. So these are all signs that the dog is afraid of what's happening or not comfortable with the cardboard cutout. The eyes are still big. With the brown dog, a little bit earlier, we did have some wagging of the tail. Normally, people would ask me, isn't that a good sign? Doesn't that mean that they're excited or happy about something? And in general, that is usually what tail wagging means. But in this case, it's more of a kind of anxious thing that they're doing. It's not really a behavior that's showing that they're excited about it. It's because it's given with all the other body language responses that we're getting. If it was just the tail wag, I would say that he's pretty happy or that they're happy with what's happening. But when we take everything into account, the tight body, tight mouth, ears back, and then we look at the tail wagging, we can see that it's just an anxious response, not a happy response. Um, Now, at about 1 minute 20, we see that Critical has taken the cardboard cutout and moved it out of the room. The dogs go to inspect. They see that it's there and immediately drop down. They get the tails between the legs. They run behind the bed. They go to what they think is safe, which is under Critical's table. Um, we also have at about 1 minute 22, minute 27, we have our real signs of hackles. We have the hackles have fully come up, and it's usually in dogs like Huskies and German Shepherds that with a bit of more hair, with longer hair, that we'll see real signs of hackles coming up. Um, so from there, they lower their heads, and these are all really good signs. Minute 30, we have the brown dog lowering the head even further down and trying to walk behind the chair. We now know because of everything that they're giving out that they do not like this cardboard cutout. The main reason they don't like this cardboard cutout is because it is a stiff bodied person staring them directly in the eyes. Now, the main reason that this is something that's dramatic for them or that brings them concern is because in the dog world, when the other dog gets a stiff body and just keeps staring them in the eyes, it's as if they're being challenged, or it's showing that the other dog is aggressive towards them. So they think right now that Keanu Reeves is being extraordinarily aggressive towards them. That in their mind's eye, that's what they see. They think that this cardboard cutout is scary and it's trying to challenge them, and they don't really know what to do with that. Uh, of course, Critical has picked up that the dogs are afraid, that they don't like this, and he tries different methods of training with them to get them more comfortable, such as putting this cardboard cutout through a window, looking on them from outside. Again, that doesn't really resolve the issues of the dogs being uncomfortable with the cardboard cutouts demeanor or how it looks to them. So it's just going to continue the fear response, but in different areas. It's true that if you find an area that the dogs are more comfortable with, they might come up to it more often and might be ready to smell it more. Um, but unfortunately, we're at a point where we'd have to get involved with some treats. So now he's walking around with, I believe, food and holding the Keanu Reeves cardboard cutout and moving it around. Moving it around shows that at least it's moving, but to them it's still stiff. It's still staring at them directly. We have at 3:14 the dogs are running up the stairs. They're concerned. We have a lot of body language describing that these dogs are uncomfortable with the cardboard cutout. The food was close to the right answer though. We got really close with the food. You do need some kind of positive reinforcement for these dogs, but they're not at the point where they're coming up to the cardboard cutout yet. So they won't be comfortable, and there's no behavior we can reinforce positively. At 3:58, we have now Critical has put a treat in Keanu Reeves' hand, kinda. It's a food bag clipped onto his hand. Um, it looks like one of those chip clips. But anyway, um, he's put a treat in his hand. This is a really good next step, but the dogs aren't at this training point yet. They're not at the point where they feel comfortable with the Keanu Reeves cutout enough to come up and take the treat out of his hand. Again, because the body is very stiff, they're not comfortable coming up, and they might think that taking the food out of his hand would cause a negative response from the Keanu Reeves cutout. They might think that he's going to attack them if they take his food, which is very common for a dog to think because that's what happens. We also have some food sprinkled around Keanu Reeves' feet, and about 4 minutes in, that's when I actually decided to comment on this video. So the inspiration for this entire video was due to the fact that I saw at about 4 minutes that the husky was very afraid, tucked tail, hackles, and the tight face, and I wanted to show or explain to Critical how best to get them more comfortable with this cutout. I know it sounds silly, but this training is actually really good and effective for multiple things. So we're going to use this specific incident to continue with the training. So now we're at the part of the video. That was pretty much it. He eventually gave up on trying to get them comfortable with the Keanu Reeves not statue but cutout. Um, I don't know. I guess he has it somewhere in his room now. But if he just left it in his room, and every time they came into the room to see him and he gave them pets, they would start to notice that the cardboard cutout doesn't really move or do anything, and they may start to get more comfortable with it. But the training that we're going to go over now is how we could get somebody or how we could get our dogs comfortable with an object like the cardboard cutout or a person. Uh, Sometimes dogs just have a negative response to a person, and mostly that's because they've never seen anybody like that person. So if they've been around the same type of people over and over and over again, and they see somebody new or somebody that looks new to them, It could even be just the hairstyle, hair color. It could be anything. It could be 100 different things: earrings, piercings, mohawk, whatever. It could be different. They just don't understand it's different to them. They're going to be cautious around this person, and you want them to warm up to this person, or even an object like the cardboard cutout. Say you want them to be more comfortable with the vacuum. These are the steps that you would need to take in order to get them more comfortable with it. So, like I said, Critical got very close towards the end when he had treats around the Keanu Reeves cutout, and he had the treat in the hand. Now, if this was a person that I was trying to get more comfortable with, I would slowly put the treat into their hand. I wouldn't start off with that. Here's how I would start off. So, first, we need them to be more comfortable with the person or object. So, we find their comfort level. Now, their comfort level is where they feel safely enough that they can sit around that object or person. So let's say about 10 feet. 10 feet is as close as they will get to this person or object. So at 10 feet, we start doing some minor tricks. We'll do sit, we'll do down, we'll give them treats for each one. If you get a dog to sit or lay down during around the object, that's a really good sign because it's allowing themselves to become vulnerable to that object or person. So if you have a vacuum cleaner, for instance, that they're afraid of, start with it off and have them 10 feet away, and you give them treats for sitting and down, and you want to keep the stimuluses low. You don't want to start with the vacuum on because it's too much too fast. So we go slow. Um, from here, we are going to see that they get more and more comfortable. Now, they might start taking steps towards the object. And every time they do, you want to give them a treat. The other way that you do this, if they're too uncomfortable to start walking towards it, anytime they look at it, you can give them a treat. So if you noticed, the husky was looking away from the cardboard cutout at the beginning. So when he looked at the cardboard cutout, I would give him a treat, and that way it would signify this is positive. The cardboard cutout is a positive thing. This is something that's good. I want you to associate every time you look at it that something good happens. So now we've got them looking at it. Great. Now we're going to move up. We're going to move them closer. Now, the threshold for dogs will always be different. I could say he moves 5 steps in. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 steps. If he's only coming in 4 steps or 3 steps, still give them those treats. Let them know that walking towards it is positive, that they're doing good. Um, and so now we're going to continue to do this. This is the same method we're going to do over and over and over again, with bringing them closer to it, giving them treats. We're going to continue to do this until they're willing to smell the hand or smell the object. So until they get close enough to where they're willing to smell, like, we'll say a vacuum. We'll say the vacuum and a person, or a cardboard cutout. I mean, we already have the example, right? So he's close enough to smell the cardboard cutout. Now give him a jackpot treat. So the jackpot treat basically means you're going to give them a small handful of of their favorite treats, and say, like, if you want, this is something I did with my German Shepherd. I would grill up some chicken, and during the training, I'd use regular treats that I bought from the store. But when she did something that I really liked, I'd give her like a small handful of the grilled chicken. So I've upgraded the treats and I upgraded the amount of treats. So it was like a super positive thing. It's like, you did really good and here's your reward. Um, so when they're willing to smell it, that's great. Now you're at that point where they should be comfortable with it. Give them the jackpot treat, and I would continue to try to get them close to it, just once or twice during any of your training sessions. Now I'm saying something new, which is training sessions. Training sessions are basically about an hour out of your day that you take to train to work with your dog or with your animal. Um, I usually plan it around either right before or right after their walks. With my German Shepherd, I do it right after a walk because she has a lot of energy, and it's good to get some of it out during the walk. to help her focus. Um, with low energy dogs, I would suggest that you do it before the walk, because there are some dogs that after the walk won't do anything. So this is how you would get them more comfortable with an object. Now, if you're trying to do this with a person, there are going to be some different steps. You're still going to have them do sit and lay at their comfort zone and decrease the distance that that comfort zone is. So you're going to move from 10 feet to 5 feet to there. Um, you just need to be careful and go slow. Make sure that you're paying attention to their body language. If at any point they have a tight body where you can see the muscles or you can see that they're tensing, if they have a tight lips, if their ears are back, some dogs the ears never go back. Like my German Shepherd, her ears never go back. They're always up like the Huskies was in this video. So sometimes that you can't go off that sign. Watch the hackles, watch the tail. Make sure that you're not taking a wagging tail as a positive sign, and realize that sometimes it does mean that they're anxious. So, because all these signs will help you prevent bites. A lot of the bites that happen are just simply accidents and misreading the situation. Um, so with these dogs, what you need to do is you need to go slow and allow the dog to approach the person, not the person approach the dog. If the person is walking up to the dog and they're not comfortable with it, the person is now going into their personal space, and again, it's seen as a sign of aggression. Um, so the best way to do this is to bring the dog closer to the person, and when the dog is about in arm's reach of the person, have the person hold a treat and present the treat to the dog with an outstretched, relaxed hand, and wait for the dog to smell and take the treat themselves. Don't force it, don't put it near their lips, don't wave it around their face. Just wait. The dog knows the treat's there. As well as, if you are doing this method, do not look the dog directly in the eyes. So you notice that I said during the video that Keanu Reeves has a stiff body and is staring them directly in the eyes. That's what they're assuming is happening to them. They assume that they're being stared at directly in the eyes. The reason I said this before, but the reason is that that's a challenge. So when you're presenting a treat to a dog, look at their nose, look at their ears, look at their forehead, look at their mouth, look anywhere else around the dog except directly into their eyes. The only time that you can look into a dog's eyes is if they are comfortable with you and they have show some kind of sign of comfort with you. That's it. That's the only time that you look them in the eyes. Whenever I met a new dog, I made sure to never look them directly in the eyes too long. Uh, I might check their eyes to see what kind of body language or what I'm reading off of them to see if I need to take a step back or not. But it was a quick glance. It was never me staring them directly for too long. So you hold your hand out outstretched, wait for the dog to approach you, and let them take the treat from your hand. Now they should be more comfortable with you. Do that a couple more times. Walk around, move around. Make sure the owner's there, has them on leash, and just move them around and let them smell around, and then present a treat again. And give it a few more seconds, a few more minutes, present a treat again. And if they're starting to play with you, then just play. You should be fine at that point. There are rare instances where the dog will still be uncomfortable, so just keep looking at the body language. That's the most important thing. The most important part of being a dog trainer or animal behavioralist is watching the animal's body language and understanding what the animal is trying to tell you because they can't speak to you. That's it for this video. That was Critical's My Dogs Hate Keanu Reeves video on YouTube. I'll post a link of it down below in the description, or I'll put it in the top thing if I can figure out how to do that. Other than that, I'll be reading some comments from the comment section of this video. We'll see some further questions. We'll be working with separation anxiety. Now, I'll do further videos explaining how to do dog training tricks such as sit, down, lay. I'll go over roll over. But if you have any questions, post them down below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Of course, the comments with the more likes I'm going to get to first, but I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can. I understand that dogs and training is very difficult and it can be frustrating sometimes, but try to be patient with them. My main inspiration for doing this is because I understand that it's difficult for humans to communicate with dogs, or with animals in general. And I want to help bridge that gap because the more we understand, the better we can treat the animals around us. And I see a lot of misinformation, or I see a lot of aggressive training tactics, or negative training tactics, and I really want to help clear the air that you don't need to do anything that would hurt the dog or make them uncomfortable. You can do all the training with positive reinforcement. So this is my attempt to reach out to the world and show everybody there's a better way to help communicate with your animal. You can learn that they are uncomfortable with a situation. You can ease them into a situation. You don't have to push or pull them. You don't have to use pinch collars. Nothing like that. So, thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be posting up again next week. Thank you very much.